Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Yalla Salesforce. Thank you very much for making the time. We will continue our journey today with Yalla Salesforce Trail Mix. So, over the last couple sessions, we started a new chapter going through the administrator journey, understanding more about process automation, and we kicked it off understanding more about Salesforce Flow and Flow Builder. In the last session, we started this data and action inflows. We started to understand more about record trigger flows. In the last session, we understood about the data elements and how can we create records and update records and so on. Today, we're going to cover the second part of the module, which is focused on the actions and the global variables. All right, so we will be understanding today how to send an email, how can we post a chatter, and then we will be moving to create a quick approval process. We will be covering the approval process later on in different module, but today we will just get a sneak peek, understand high level what is the approval process and how can we use flows to trigger an approval process. Part of this great journey together, we will be like stressing on the reusability. So we will have multiple things that we will start like evolving our understanding rather than putting everything in the flow as is. How can we reduce like the different versions we will need to do with every change? Something like email templates. We will be using email alerts, and then we'll take it to the next level with custom label and custom metadata. All of these are different tools from Salesforce in order to allow flexibility and reusability. So in case of a changing of a value for certain things, I don't need to go to the flow to make a change. I need to go for those other configurations, do the required change without impacting the flow itself. Right. I believe that's enough for the introduction. Let's jump into it. We're going to start today with we want to send an email alert. So we have an account and we have critical pieces of information within the account. And whenever a change happens, we need to send an email for the account owner. How can we start the journey? So we'll go for the account in here. So let's dismiss all of these great stuff, go to an account, and I'll pick an account. From here, you have an email, which allow you to send an outbound email from Salesforce. So you have here your from, and you need to add a subject. So let's go in here, account change notice. This is what we are saying. If a critical piece of information is changed, we need to send an email. And then the body is your account record has changed. So I'll be putting this in the body. And if you remember from this great like model to send an email, you have the flexibility in here to add merge field. So you can come in here saying I'm in the account and I need the account name, and I can insert this account name. So I will be very clear. Your account name record has changed. All right. How can we make this email reused? We can make it reused as we learned before, that we can create an email template out of it. So I will be going in there saying insert as a template. Oh, sorry. So I'll be going in there and saying save it as a new template. What will be the template name? I need to say an account change. And I need to put it in the public email template. All right. Now we have a template which we can reuse it. Can I use straight the email template in the flow? The answer is yes, but we want to learn about another tool which allow me to do reusable email alerts. So in order to do that, you will go for setup, and from the setup, you can go in here, email alert. When I am saying reusability, that means you can use this email alert across different business process automations. You can use it in the flow, you can use it in an entitlement process. So if you have the same business scenario that you need to reuse this email alert, you can create an email alert and keep reusing it across different business process automations. All right, so where we are in workflow actions. You're going to ask the question, if the workflow process got retired, the answer from Trailhead, workflow process, yes, retired, but the workflow actions are still here and it will not be retired. All right, so we are creating a workflow action of type email alerts. And from here, I will say, let's create a new email alert. And from new email alert, I will need to put the name of the email alert. So I will say, enter email alert, click new email alert. And then in the description, I will say, notify owner of account change. Salesforce will automatically create the unique name. We need to specify which object, because which object will determine who will be the recipient for this one. So we're going to select account. And then from there, I will need to select the owner in here. So I will be selecting in here the owner. So account owner will be the recipient for that specific email alert. And I need to specify a template. So what will be the template? The template we just did, which is the account change email template. So I will be picking the account change email template. You have the flexibility to add an additional emails, but I believe we've done everything we are looking for in here. Now it's the time to hit save. So to recap, all what we are doing, we are setting this stage to when we have a change in an account critical information, we did an email template, we created a new email alert, which will be used part of a record trigger flow, because we are saying it's an account change. Accordingly, it's an account record change. All right, so I'll come back in here, go to the flows, and from the flows, I will be creating a new flow. And since we are saying it's an account change, I will be using start from scratch. I will say record trigger flow, and I will be creating an account record trigger flow. What we are looking for in here, I will say trigger the flow when a record is updated and any condition is met with or any of those ones when they change, as we learned last time, that we need to do specify the object, and then we would need to specify when it's gonna run, create, update, both, or delete, and then we would need to put what will be the entry condition. So if we didn't satisfy those entry conditions, this flow will not gonna run. All right, so we are saying account number change, annual revenue change. So number, revenue, name, what else, and account rating. All right, what we are checking is changed, So all of them, if any of those values got changed, and this is a global value, we'll say true. So if any of those fields got changed, what will be the action? I need to send an email. And we agreed last time, there is a difference between before and after save. So fast field updates, if you need to do certain changes on that record before you commit to the database, you need to do it after if you need to deal with the related objects or you need to send an action. So in here, are we doing an action? The answer is yes. Action is we need to send an email. All right, so we did all the required configuration for the start. Now it's the time for send an email alert. Now, what are the email alerts? I need to specify notify owner of account change. All of what I need to do in here, I need to specify which record this email belongs to. So all of what I need in here, so I will say triggering account.id. And that's about it. All right, so what will be the label? I will be saying email account owner. All right, email account owner. Email here as a verb. All right, so email account owner, and I'll be specifying the account ID. So far, so good. Any questions? Sounds perfect. We'll come back to the module to just make sure we didn't miss anything, but now we want to just get all the information we need, visualize things before we come back to the module. All right, now we saved this flow. What we are doing, we did email template, reusable email template can be used either from the UI, used in email alerts, somewhere else. We configured email alert to be reused as well across business process automation. Finally, we did a record trigger flow. Is that the only way to send an email from the flow? The answer is no. This is just like elevated the reusability by creating an email alert. However, you have an action in here, and there are a lot of investment from Salesforce into that action because the user experience now is different. It's way streamlined the process in order to configure this send an email action comparing to the previous releases. I can do in here send an email, and this will give you a lot of extra attributes that you can set. So if you need to have threading, what threading means. So if you are sending an outbound email from Salesforce, Salesforce is gonna add a thread ID. This thread ID, which allow the receiver for that email, if they reply back, it will be considered as a thread. So if you have like an email to case, and if you have a thread ID, Salesforce will consider this is related to an existing case if you send this email from a case rather than creating a new case. So it's just to keep the chain of that email conversation. So you can add this threading into the body of the email. You can add it to the subject. You can have attachment ID, which is a list of attachments. If you need to add attachment to that email, you can specify what will be the body in here, putting here either to put the value, or it will be for sure. We will be learning now the text template part of the next step for the chatter. You can have email template ID in here. You can log email on the send and see it on the activity timeline. You can make it rich text format. That means they're gonna send this email in an HTML format, means that you can format the body. You can change who will be the sender email address. You have multiple options in here, either to put make the sender a specific email address by doing like global email, or make it the user email. So you have multiple option in here to put what will be the sender email and the sender type. You will see it in here: default workflow user or wide address. The default value is the current user. Put the subject, put all of these great stuff. So what will be the advantage in here? You have a lot of configuration that you have the flexibility to do. But what will be the disadvantage in here? That this became local to this specific flow. You can't reuse whatever you configured in here in entitlement process. You know what I mean? All right. So just wanted to give you a sneak peek. I'm sure this is gonna come again in another module, but wanted to give you another option to send an email. Any questions? All good? Perfect. All right. So let's get back to the module. Just scan through what we covered so far, and then we'll move to the next action, which is let's do a chatter post. All right. So it's wonderful that you can use Flow to create, update, and delete triggers, but it's not always wonderful to do those things silently. You need to inform people. You need to send an email. You need to post a chatter, and so on. Introducing the action element. To make all of this wonderful communication happen, the action element, despite its basic name, it does a lot of superpowers. The action element can communicate with users, customer, and the external system. It can also perform some advanced automation tasks. So let's jump to send an email with an email alert. The sales department want to notify an account owner immediately when key details change in an account. And we just saw that. We configured the email template. We went to the email alert. We created all of this. We blended this within a record trigger flow in order to inform the owner. There are multiple ways to send an email, but we recommend using action element to select an email alert workflow action. This method has the most feature, and it's easy to set up, as we just saw. Wondering why we are talking about email alert, even though Salesforce deprecating workflow rules? Email alerts are workflow actions, not workflow rules. Actions are not being deprecated. create the email alert. We did all of these great stuff, and then we selected the object. Email are each tied to a specific object because the object defines the possible recipient. So if you are in the email alert is related to account object, you have access to the account team members. And then we pick the template. We did all of these great stuff, and then we saved and we created the record trigger flow. It's important to make sure you choose the right related and determine the record that store the email in Salesforce. It also channels the trigger value into the email template merge fields. For example, if your template to use the recipient to name merge field to add an email recipient name into the email text is replaced with the name of the contact you selected here. All right. Any questions? So far, so good. Perfect. All right. So let's jump to the next one, which is post to chatter. We had a dedicated session only on a chatter before, which is this lovely communication tool, which allow you to collaborate between you and your colleagues. And it's an open way for communication, or comparing to the closed way of the email. Email is targeted to distribution list or for a certain people, but chatter is visible for everybody, has access to that record. All right, so we need to automate things. So if sending an email isn't your style and you'd rather send a message within Salesforce, you can use action element to create a chatter post. You can post a record, chatter group to a feed, or any other place that's chatter feed. But first we need a text template, and we need a resource that contains the ID. Because this flow will do same things as send an email, account change flow. We will edit in the email on account, change the flow, and then save it as a new flow. All right, so we'll go back in here, go back to the same send an email. We're gonna do some changes and save it as a new flow to send as a chatter post. So let's jump to it. Create a new resource, and it's called chatter body. We need to do in here, so I will be deleting the email. I will be putting in here the chatter posts. Post to chatter. You will find in here the message again. If you have a short message, you can put in here, but this is not ideal because chatter is a big message and you need to mention people and so on. How can we do that? We will go to the new resource and go for the text template. Within the text template, this is the API name called the chatter body. And in here, you can do all the magic you want. I just want to emphasize on the view as rich text. So in here, you can say hi. And when you do that, you can say it's bold. So this is the rich experience. This is supported for the email, but it's not supported for the chatter post action in here. Accordingly, when you switch back to the plain text, you will find those extra tags. Why? Because this is, in order to have this rich experience, you need to do it as HTML. And since the chatter post will be expecting a plain text, so you will have all of these extra tags, which will impact your user experience. So what will be the right thing to do? The right thing to do will be, the first thing is to change it to plain text. All right, so I'll put the chatter body in here, and then they are highlighting that you need to change, and then you need to tag certain person, which is the account owner. So how can we do that? You have here the resource picker in here. So all what you need to say is the triggering account owner ID. Right? Triggering account owner ID. Now we have the owner ID, but how can we tag? In order to tag in chatter, even if I came in here, I will say at Yalla Salesforce. So you need to add square brackets the individual. So we're gonna do the same. So I will be doing at square bracket the owner. Now I'm tagging. Perfect. So we did that. We added this at all of the great stuff we just did. And then your account record has changed. The same thing we did with the email template. But let's assume that I need the account name as well, like exactly what I did with the email template. So I will say in here, account name. All right. So now done. Now I have a reusable chatter body text template that if I have multiple actions, I can reuse this text template. So what I need to do in here, I need to come back to the message and say I will be using a resource, which is the chatter body. Now, done. We did all of this great stuff, and we need to post to chatter account change. This will be the new flow. But I need to put in here, just because I am a step ahead, I will need to put a target name or ID. So in order to do that, I need to add it to the owner ID. So I'll go back in here saying the triggering account owner, and I need the user name. All right, so let's save it as a new flow. We have the option either a new version, that means that the email will be no longer here, and this will be the new version of it, which will be only a chatter post, or I can say a new flow. That means that the email will remain, but I will have another one called post to chatter on account change, and this is going to be a brand new email. So I have both now. Both of them are version number 1. All right, so back in here, and then create an element, put the chatter post on the flow canvas, click the email account, delete it. We already done that. Add an action for chatter notification, the chatter body, put it, and then for the target, put the owner.user name. In the target name or ID, you can enter ID of a record, but again, remember, do not use a hard-coded IDs, because those IDs are different from place to another, means place to another means from a sandbox to another, and so on, where the post should be. If the target is a user, you can instead use the username. If the target is a chatter group, you can instead of group. So as we mentioned, that we can target in here multiple targets. If it's by default, it's the record. So if you have the record, you don't need to specify anything in here. But if it's not a record, you need to specify the value. So option require if a target name or ID is set to a username you need, or the name of the chatter group, valid values are user and group. If it's a record, that's all right. Keep it as is. So all what I need to do in here, just specify user. If it's a group, make it a group. That's it. Save the flow. And we are good to go. Any questions? Sounds perfect. All right. So we covered 2 important actions so far, and it's all about communication. Make sure that you have a great communication within the team with any change. So first was, if any of the critical piece of information, we need to send an email to the account owner. We configured the email template. We created an email alert. We added the record trigger flow. We added the send email alert action. Next, we took to the next level. How about sending a chatter post? I'm mentioning this owner, and this is exactly what we did. We did this text template, and we added the post to chatter action, and we started to put it all together. All right, next topic is submit record for approval. As we mentioned, that we, in certain processes, for example, you are selling something and you need to apply certain discount. And if it's a discount is 10%, we're good. If it's 20 to 40%, you need your manager approval. If it's 40 above, you need SVP approval, something like that. So you have a certain logic which will determine, do you need approval or you don't need an approval? Or you have another scenario. If it's an amount, if you have an opportunity with a certain amount, you need to force to submit it for approval. But the sales reps forget to click submit for approval, which making this opportunity to take its time, and it's a delay because there's no approval and so on. How can we streamline the approval process? Accordingly, we can make it automatically within a flow to trigger an approval process. All right, that's fantastic. So let's go back in here in setup, and let's have a very quick approval process. We will dig into all the details later on in another module, but for now, let's create a new approval process, and let's do the jumpstart wizard. Opportunity approval. And in here, this is the unique name. All what I need to say, opportunity amount, which is the first item in here, is greater than 1 million. Sounds perfect. All right. And what I want to do is to save it and then view approval process detail stage. So what we are doing in here, we are saying that we have an opportunity approval, we have it an amount greater than this amount, and in that scenario, when we do that, we will be doing the record locking. That means no one can change it unless the administrator, if we configured it. So in here saying record editability, only administrators. We can change it as well in here, which is approval field editability. I can make it or the approval. So this is another option. We'll go through all of these great details later on, but for now, just leave it like that. And then I need to activate it. In order to be able to use it in an action, you have to activate it. Right, and then you will have, whenever you submit it, what will be the actions, and you have the options for the different types of the same thing, workflow actions. So you can create a task, email alert, field update. So you can reuse the email alert we used for the account to change in here if you need to reuse it. So you can use it in entitlement process, approval process, flows. This is the power of reusability. And then if it's rejected, if it's recalled. But for now, we will not dig into the details for the approval process, and we just need an active approval process, because we can go back now to the flow and start learning more about how can we embed an approval process within our flow. So I will be creating a record trigger flow, new flow, and it's a start from scratch record trigger flow. And I will make it now, it's all opportunity focused now. All right, when I create a record opportunity, object is opportunity, a record is created or updated. And I will make a couple conditions in here with and. If the stage reached to the proposal, so stage equals proposal and price quote, now it's the time for submitting for approval. Only when record is updated to meet the condition. We discussed those two options before. Is it every time that any change happen and we are satisfying, we will be firing, or it's only once when we reach to that stage? So it's only once. Do we have an action need to be fired? The answer is yes. So it has to be action and the related records. Now I will just try to submit for approval. All right, so when I do that, submit for approval, the request opportunity approval. What will be the record? It will be for sure the triggering opportunity, and it's gonna be the ID. Then what will be the approval process name? So I will go in here and I will go to get the approval. Sounds perfect. All right, for the record, select triggering opportunity. We did this. If you leave it blank, the normal method to determine which approval process to run, the first active approval process on the current object whose entry criteria are met. All right, flow builder doesn't validate. That's why they just said price quote approval, but we don't have it, but it will whenever you are activating this. Flow builder doesn't validate the process. For the purpose of this badge, we are using imaginary approval. You can't test this flow because when you try to run, it's gonna fail. All right, enable submitter ID and enter triggering opportunity owner ID. So we need to say who is submitting. So triggering opportunity again, and it's gonna be the owner ID. And that's about it. Price quote approval. We have now saying if the opportunity is changing, reaching to a certain stage, we need to submit it for approval, specifying all the details we are looking for. Any questions? All right, we made it. So let's make sure we are not leaving anything behind. Sales team rely on approval process to request management approval for opportunity discount, but through the sales process and sales people sometimes forget to click the submit for approval when deal is ready. Wouldn't be great to just automatically make it. So Now we are embedding and we did everything we are looking for. It has to be an active approval process, a variable or a resource that contain the ID that we need to approve. And then you can put a text template when the text to be sent to the approval, which is submission comment. So you can add in here submission comments, and in order to have it in here, we can do the same thing by having in here a text template. Thank you, op is ready. All right, and let me do it as a plain text. Op comment, and in here I will be putting in here done op comment. Save it as a new version. Now when I submit, this will be the comment from my end. All right, if no questions, let's jump to the challenge. Add a chatter and email to the new lead flow. The check new lead for matching account flow that you built in the previous hands-on. We had when we have a lead and we were matching, finding the matching account with the same name, and we created a custom field and we updated that custom field. So we are just taking this flow to the next level. Update the flow to send a chatter post to the matching account owner and an email to lead routing. So we are putting both of them. We are using both the actions we just learned into the flow we built last time. All right. So, and we will be sending it to the lead routing public group. Right. That means we need to create a public group. Public group we didn't before. It's a place where we can put certain people together in a public group, which can be reused as well. For the purpose of this exercise, don't worry about the content of the email and so on. All right. In setup, create a public group called lead routing. So let's do it. Right, so I'll go back in here. I will go back. Public group. New public group. Name it this way. And this is going to be the description. And they said, don't worry about the members for now. Okay, and then I will go for update the start element to allow flow to support actions. So let's go back in here. Go the flows. And let's go in here. There was a lead one, which we built last time for matching accounts. And let's update the entry criteria as they mentioned. Update the start element to allow the flow to support the actions, which means we want to make sure it has action, which we already have. All right, create an email alert, send matching account to lead routing. All right, so I will go back in here. I will be creating an email alert. And from the email alerts, I will be creating a new email alert. Send the matching account to lead routing. Unique name, all right. The object now is lead, so it's different comparing to the last time we did, which was the account. And the email template, select any email template. So let's use the same email template we just did, which is the account change one. And then in here, I will be specifying the public group, which we just created, the lead routing one. Then group lead, and that's about it. So we created the email alert. Save. Now, we in the check new lead for matching account flow, create a text template called the chatter message. So let's go back to the flow. And I'll be going in here. I will be creating a new resource of text template, and the API name is chatter message. And remember, when we do a chatter, we have to make it plain. In the body, add mention matching account owner using look for matching account records. So I will be doing in here, look for matching account from look matching account. This was the get record we are doing, and I need to mention the owner ID. So the variable. And after, so change view as rich in the body at mention the matching account owner. Yep. So in order to match it, that means I need to put at, as we just learned, at end of the square brackets, and now we have everything we are looking for. After update matching, so done. Update matching, what do we need to do? Send matching account to lead routing, label email lead routing. So email alert. And now I started to have both. So send matching email. That's awesome. And I will be putting email lead. Here we go. And it is going to be the API. And the record will be the ID of the triggering record. So I'll come in here saying triggering record and ID. All right. Save it as a new version. Save it. Activated. And let's validate. Any questions, Steve? Sounds perfect. So hopefully we'll get a blessing from Trailhead, and let's continue our next unit with the global variables. All right, so we have a problem in here. We can't find an action element named chatter post to account owner. Yes, we missed this guy. After the update, post to chatter. We didn't do that. So we created the rich text, but we didn't create the post to chatter. So I'll come in here, post to chatter. And within the post to chatter, this is the how the post to chatter. And then I need to put the chatter message in here. So we just did it in here. And the triggering name, they are looking for target name or ID, the ID of the lead that triggered the flow. All right, so triggering lead, and there's gonna be the ID. That's it. Save it as a new version, save it, activate. I don't need to do any target type because I'm just doing a record. So let's make sure we got everything in here as instructed. Any questions? So far, so good. I love learning. Sounds perfect. All right. We made this unit, so let's tackle the next one. Now it's the time for global variable. What are global variables? Global variables are things which are available for us. We can straight use it from Salesforce. We cannot set it, we can just use it. All right, so something like when the flow started, something like who is the running user, what is the profile for the user, what is the role for the user, all of these great stuff which will make your life easier while you are developing your flow is available for you, part of those global variables. So global variables exist in every flow. You don't create them and you can't change their values in the flow, but they give your flow access to very useful piece of information. You can use global variable in fields that let you select a resource, exactly like what we do with the fields. Usually contain placeholder text such as enter value, search resource, and so on. In Flow Builder, global variables behave similarly to the object and fields. Each global variable contains multiple values to use when creating or editing an element. Click fields that let you select a resource, display the resource under global variables. You will find all the magic start with the $sign. All right. Keep in mind the global variables field data type must be compatible. So if you are saying get me the accounts where created date less than something, it has to be, you need to use a global variable which is aligned with what created date is, which is a date, time, and so on. So make sure of this compatibility. All right, so let's create, I'll go back in here, I'll create a brand new stream flow which will allow me to just print all of these values so we can start visualizing it. So I'll jump to start from scratch, create a new screen flow, and let's have a screen in here, screen global bars. All right, so now I have a screen and I don't want to have all of these show headers, and we should be good. Right, so let's put here a display text. So we can start to insert a resource. So what do we want to see? We want to see, like, let's say org ID, and then let me see the organization name, and let me see who is the running user. So I will go for the user and I will say, show me my username. And then I will be saying, let me see the profile name. And then I will go for my role. Let me see the here role, user role name. So I believe those are great stuff. Let me see as well when this flow started. So I'll go in here for the flow and let's say the start time. So we printed multiple things and this will be text for global bars. Done. Save it. Screen global bars and let's hit save. Let's debug it. And here we go. The magic happened. This is the org ID. This is the org name. This is my username. This is my profile. And this is the how the interview started. And I'm missing the role. So let's go for my user in here. Let's view the details. And within the details, because I have empty role, I will put myself as the time to be promoted to be a CEO for my company. All right, so we did it. And now I will go back to the flow. And let's rerun it. Now I am the CEO. All right, so get the running user field, the user global variable. Give your user the flow at the user behind the keyboard. We don't mean literally, of course, but it does your flow access to user data. So you have all the information active, inactive, all the user details. Want to know when a team member close a high value opportunity as lost, ask you to automate the notification with a chatter post. So if we have an opportunity, let's put it in another. We just wanted to print it for now, but we have a use case for it. If we have an opportunity closed lost, I need to send a chatter post for your manager. So the person closing the opportunity might not be the opportunity owner. So the notification should indicate who made the change. You already have a flow that runs when stage name or opportunity closed lost, create a follow-up with the decision maker and an action. This is what we did last time. When the opportunity, go for the opportunity role, and we pick the contact who is the decision maker, and we start collaborating. All right. So let's get the opportunity manager, and then we will be sending a chatter post mentioning the manager, putting who is the user that updated that opportunity. All right, so done with this one for now. Let's go back in here and let's say create a follow-up with the decision maker. And within in here, I will be doing a new get record. And what will be the instruction? Get owner manager. So in here, if you remember, we had this one, which in opportunity is updated, and we have for certain amount, and if it's a closed loss, we were going and create the get the decision maker and creating the task. Now it's at the time for mentioning the manager. So I'll go to the user object to know who is the manager. So in here, user object, and I will need to say, go and say, get me the user ID, where the record owner manager ID. So I am just bringing the user details for the manager. All right, so we're at the ID field. Here we go, equals the triggering. Oh, okay. I will need the record owner manager. Here we go. So I'm getting it from the user object where the record owner is the manager ID. Now we got all these great details, and that's about it. Right, what will be the next step? I will need to create a chatter post. And we just learned in order to create a chatter post, we need to create a text template. So I'll go in back in here, saying new resource, and it is going to be a text template, and the API name is this guy, and this is the value. And what I need to do, I will need to get this user get owner manager, and I need to get the user ID. So manager ID Here we go. And I need to mention it. So at square brackets. So we did everything in here, and then clone this guy. This opportunity was marked closed lost, and then let me put in here a name, which is the opportunity, which is the record triggering the opportunity, and let me put the name in here to make it clear. And then I need to close the by. I need to get the user details. So I need to get the user first name, and then I will be changing this guy to be a user again, last name, and finally I will need the user email dot email. All right, done. And then I will need to create this chatter post. So we done the resource, and it's all about just putting in here post, and within the message I will be getting this chatter post message. Leave the spaces. We done all of the things. We created the chatter post to the manager, and who the target this time will be the owner, manager, user ID. So manager, user ID. Here we go. All right. So now we are posting for it. So we got the manager details from here, and we are creating the action. And within the action, we are saying it doesn't. I might be the owner, but someone else is doing this close, moving the record. So we are getting this running user who changed the opportunity stage, and we are notifying his or her manager. All right, get the running user profile and role value. So we are done with this guy. Let's save it. Make sure we will not lose the great effort we put together here. And now the next step is the roles and profiles. We already saw it, part of the other flow. So if I came back in here and said, show me the global variables, you will notice in here that I used already the profile and the role. So it's not a best practice by any means. We just highlighted this point that if you are hard coding a specific profile ID, this will be making this specific org happy. However, when you promote your code from this sandbox to another sandbox, the profile ID will be absolutely different. So it's not a best practice by any means to hard code any IDs. You need to use get records, or you use the global variables in order to capture those IDs dynamic. So when creating a flow, hard coding IDs, when you manually enter Salesforce ID, an example of hard coding, you're gonna get this one. Instead, you should retrieve the ID get record element or use those global variables. Why should you avoid hard coding? If you build a flow with a hard coded ID in a sandbox, and then you are promoting to the next sandbox, or you are putting it to production, we will have different IDs accordingly. Everything gonna fit. What does this have to do with the global variable? At some point, you might want to access the user profile or role. Suppose your organization is divided into territories, and the Western territories and so on use a different discount calculation than other territories. To calculate discount correctly, a flow needs to get who is the running user and what will be the role, which will determine the business logic within there. So you might have a decision saying if the role contains West, do such a discount, but if it's East, do such a discount. Accordingly, the $ user, exactly like what we saw in here, user role or a profile name, all of this is going to be helpful in order for you to be able to do this automatically. Fortunately, these are other ways to access information from the running user role, global variable. It can access many values in the running user. Likewise, the profile, global variable, should be used in a similar situation when you need to do that logic at the profile level. And we saw it already that we can get in here the developer name for the profile, right? So let's add the developer name as they mentioned. So profile. And from the profile, I will go for the this is the role. Sorry. So in here, in the role, Let's go for the developer. Here we go, save and debug. And let's see it. All right, we made it. Perfect. I believe we covered a lot of great content. Let's take the reusability to its next level. What do we have in here? We have a new functionality called custom label. Where custom labels will be used and why. Custom labels are very critical part of the platform, especially when you are talking about like hard coding certain messages, and if you need to have the flexibility of translating it. So there is another feature within the platform called the translation workbench and so on, which if you have this message, your account has been changed and you need to show it in French. How can we do that? How can we make this message flexible without it changing the flow? And now the custom label comes into the picture. So this is the custom labels. Here, set up custom label. Translate. So you will have in here translation language settings, which are the languages you have in here, and it's available. So do we have French? We have French, and it's an active translation. So I can come in here and start translating a lot of great things within the platform. So if I say in here, you have the actions, you have the custom fields, you have the field sets, you have the global values, you have a lot of great things within the platform that can be translated with this workbench. So let's get back to the label and see what that means. So custom label, I will say my custom label. And I will say in here, thank you very much for your business. And I'll hit save. Now I created a custom label. I can add a translation in here. So if I said thank you, but in French, I am not a French speaker, but merci beaucoup. So I will be putting in here whatever merci is. So in here, I am translating. If my language is English, it's gonna display this value. If my language is French, it's gonna display this one. Right. So let's use this in the flow. So let's go back to our screen and let's see, can I use it? The answer is yes. So one of the resources in here, so my custom label, and I will be putting in here all of these great stuff, and I will be putting in here label, and within the label, my custom label, right? So let me close it, save it, in order to get this new custom label we just created. All right, so I will go in here, edit element, and in here, my custom label, I will be putting my custom label. So this now should be visible. You will see it. Done. Save it. Debug it. Run it. Now, thank you very much for your business. The point is that I kicked off this session saying this is very flexible. What I mean by that, if I went back in here into the label and I want to change this message without saving the flow as a new version. How can I do that? So from Bassem, I went now to the custom label without touching the flow in here, which was, let me get the instance in here. All what I need to do, run again. Now it's reflecting the message. So if I need to have a message, or even in a text template with a label that will be dynamically updated in case this requirements changed over time. So rather than hard coding things in the flow, create a custom label, refer to it in the flow, and now everything is automatically reflecting because there is no message in here is hard coding. Plus the power of translation, as we mentioned. So far, so good. You can use it in a chatter post. So if I am in here and I said chatter, post to chatter, and now I can say custom label, and it's my custom label. So the message. So this is another way of putting a text within any component using a reusable custom label. All right, if your organization user works multiple language, custom labels are very valuable. Custom label contain a string that text you can translate into multiple language. After you define translation, Salesforce display the custom label to each user in user's native language. You can use custom label in flows. Yes, we show it in the screen flow. We see it in the action. So that means we can use it in the record trigger flow, in the action template, in the send an email, all of these great stuff. Use label global variable, and this is what we can absolutely see in here. You will see $sign label, a place for a custom label anywhere that accepts text such as screen component or anything. All right, so we covered it. Also, we covered other important global variables. We saw the flow interview start time. We can see as well flow current date. So let's go in here. In here, go for flow and put date. So we have current date and we have flow current date time. So all of these are available for us. Interview start. If I have an error message, it's going to be in the flow fault message. Organization, we saw it, and we keep dealing with the record name. All right. What else? Let's elevate what will be the next level. The next level in here to learn something new called custom metadata. What custom metadata? Again, part of the reusability. Assume you have an opportunity and you need to say if the amount between 1 and 10, it's a small opportunity. If it's 10 to 100, it's a medium opportunity. Above 100 is a large opportunity. And we don't want to have those logics, this logic and mapping to be hard coded within a flow, because I might need to reuse it in another apex, or I need to use it in multiple flows, or I need to change those ranges without going to the flow and create a new version and so on. I need to move it from development to be just a configuration in a table. Custom metadata will be the answer for you. Custom metadata is a place like a table. You put all of these things that you want to retrieve in runtime without the need for changing a new version of the flow, or without the need to keep replicating across different automations. So let's learn about custom metadata. Back to the setup. And in here, custom metadata types, I will be creating a custom metadata type, and I will name it opportunity size. I will name it opportunity size. All right. This is the description. All apex and so on. Perfect. Safe. This is going to result on something called opportunity size underscore MDT. So it's exactly like the custom object, but the custom object for data. This is for its custom meta data, which will be used. Right. So what do I need? I will say I will need to create a custom fields within this custom metadata. What I need to do, I need to put this range for the opportunity amount. So I'll be putting a number, and this is going to be the field, the label will be minimum amount. And it is going to be like 18. All right, let's just keep it for now. Simple. Save a new. I will say another number, which will be max amount. All right, next. Save a new. And finally, I will be putting in here a pick list, naming it the opportunity size. What will be? It's going to be small, medium, and finally large. That's it. Next, save. So we created 3 custom fields within this opportunity size custom metadata. How can we create the data now? Now it's go to the manage, and I will say small opportunity, and this is the size name. I will say from 1 to 10. This is small. Medium opportunity, and this is going to be from 11 to 100. This is going to be medium. And finally, I will say large opportunity, and this is going to be a 101, going to be large. All right, see. Now we created this custom metadata. How can we query or see the data? Now it's a very straightforward. It's like any custom object. So I can say, get me everything from opportunity size MDT. You will be able to see 3 records, which we just configured from 1 to 10. It's a small, from 10, 11 to 100, medium, and then the large opportunity. Can we use it in the flow? The answer is absolutely yes. All right, so let's go back to our great flow in here. And what we need to do, we need to start passing a parameter for a certain opportunity, and then we will need to get those records and then display the value. Right. Let's save this as a new version. And what we need to do, we will need to go in here, say a new resource, and let me add a variable, name it record ID, and this is gonna be a text ID, and I need to allow it as an input. Done. When I do that, I will need to get the opportunity details. So I'll be passing an opportunity ID to get the opportunity details so I can get the amount. And then I'll be getting from the custom metadata where the amount in a certain range, and just I'm gonna display the size. So this is the purpose. Pass an opportunity ID, get the amount, go to the custom metadata, find the right mapping, get the opportunity size, display it on the screen. So I'll be getting a record, get op details in here, and the object is opportunity. I will say when the ID for the opportunity equals the record ID I'm passing. All of what I need just the first record and automatically store all fields. That's awesome. And then I will be getting another record, but this time I need to get it from MDT. So same thing, that if I just created this guy, this would not fill it. So I will close it and I will open it one more time. And I will be getting a new record. And this time I will go for the opportunity size MDT. So get op size MDT. All right, what do I need to do? I will say, get me the size when the range. So minimum amount is less than or equal. The amount is coming from opportunity. So get opportunity dot amount. And I need to say the maximum amount is greater than the opportunity amount. Perfect. Now I got only the record and so on. What is remaining, I want to get the size. So let me show in here, go there, and let's say in here, opportunity size. And put this, and now can I get it as a resource? Yes, it's like any get records. So size, if I just wrote the size, and I need the size, which is the opportunity size. So it's just like any get records we did before. Done. Save it. All right, let me go back in here and let me open an opportunity so we can get the ID. Put the amount. This is the opportunity. Let me put it as 5. Accordingly, this, if I pass this opportunity to the flow I just did in here, this should showing me small opportunity. Here we go. Let's go. Now, the power of the flexibility and passing different parameter. If I change this to be 15, now this should be, if I just ran again in here, became medium. How about this medium? But tomorrow we want to change those ranges. What I mean by that, if I came back in here and I said, get me the custom metadata, and I will say now manage records, and within the small, I'm gonna elevate this range to be a 100. And I'll go for the medium saying, no, it's no longer 100. It's from 100 to 1,000. And now I will go for the large, saying it's from 1,001 to I need. So when we ran this one, it was medium because I specified to be it was within the medium range, but I expanded now the small range. Do I need to change anything in the flow? The answer is no, but let's run again. Became small. So this is the power of reusability and separating those ranges to be outside the flow so it can be reused and giving you way more flexible. Any questions about custom metadata? Sounds fantastic. Last thing, since we are talking about custom label, custom metadata, let's talk about custom permission, which we didn't talk about before. Since the best practice to move on from the profile and having different profiles for different personas and so on. So one of the ways that instead of identifying the user persona using the profile itself, we will be creating a vanilla profile, minimum access with a lot of permission sets. But if I need to still differentiate different personas, saying those are people belongs to group A, but those people belongs to group B. How can we do that? Now it's the magic of custom permission. So I'll go in here saying I need to create a custom permission. And within this custom permission, I will just say this is group A people. And this is the group A. How can I add this group A to people? I need to create a permission set. And within a permission set, I'll be creating a new permission set, and I will say custom permission PS. All right, I will be saving it. And within the custom permission set, you will find in here something called custom permission, which we didn't talk about it before, but I will be adding this group A to the custom permission. All right, now it's done. I have this custom permission part of the permission set. Let's save it. We are good. I have all what I did now. I just create a permission set. It's not assigned to anybody, but I need to use it in the flow. Can I? The answer is yes. So let me go in here and let's start opening again the flow screen global variables. I will need to say if I have this custom permission displayed to me in our flow. If I don't have this custom permission, show me NA. How can I do that? New resource. Let's do a quick formula in here and custom permission. All right, what will be the output? It's going to be a text. Do I have access to the custom permission? The answer is yes. Running user permission. And it's a group A. If I have this custom permission, this is going to be evaluated to be true. If I don't have this custom permission, this is going to be evaluated to be false. So I can say if group A, just to tell me I am group A. If I don't have this custom permission, showing it as NA. Let's check the syntax. Perfect. Done. Let me display it in here. And it is going to be the last thing before we wrap up our session. Custom permission. And this is in here. And let me put this formula. All right. Done. Save it. Debug it. All right. Run. Do I have custom permission? No. How can I get this custom permission? I will go in here to the same permission set, which I added the permission set to it. I will manage an assignment. I will add an assignment. I will add this permission set for me, and I will assign it accordingly. Me as Basim, I became now belonging to that group A. If I came back in here, which was this one, and I said rerun, now I belong to group A. So this can derive certain decisions within the flow, saying if I am part of this specific group, do such and such. If I'm not, do such and such. So another flexibility to differentiate certain people, certain personas based on a custom permission that I will be assigned. I hope the session was useful. Do you have any questions? Fantastic. So let's jump to the quiz and wrap it for today. Which global variable contains the name of running user profile? It's profile. What do you use to access custom metadata? Custom metadata result to have __ MDT. And in order to do that, we use the get record. Woohoo! We made data and action inflows Do you have any questions? Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope it was useful, and have a wonderful day. See you next week. Bye-bye.